He's not the only conservative for this cause. Joining us now is Asher Allman of the nonprofit Missouri Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty, a group that supports this effort to end capital punishment in Missouri. And Asher, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, traditionally, conservatives have been more in favor of capital punishment and other law and order policies. Why are conservatives taking up this cause now?
I think now you have an increasing number of conservatives that see that our goals of law and order are not served by the death penalty, as it's an ineffective deterrent to crime, and it also flies in the face of several other dearly held conservative principles, such as protecting the sanctity of life, fiscal responsibility.
Well, why is it happening now? Why didn't this happen 10 years ago?
I think 10 years ago, if you look at 10 years ago, 2005, that wasn't far from the 1996 peak of capital punishment usage. I think tough on crime was still a relevant point. I think that you've had data there for years about why the death penalty is ineffective, and I think more and more people are waking up and realizing that it's just not consistent with limited government, with fiscal responsibility, with pro-life politics, any of that. And I think that you have more and more data that's more and more prevalent that's backing that up.
Asher, Missouri conducts the most executions of any state in recent years, at least outside of Texas. What kind of support is that lending to this bill?
Well, I think in Missouri you have some interesting cases in that we do have Republican supermajorities in both houses of our state legislature, but we still have a Democratic governor. And I think that it is an interesting battleground for this issue because you have neighboring states of Nebraska, whose conservatives just abolished the death penalty within the last year, I believe, and Kansas, where their statewide Federation of College Republicans passed a resolution calling on their elected officials to abolish the death penalty. So you're seeing this debate happening here in the heartland, where it is traditionally dominated by Republicans, and I think that having that debate is healthy. I think Missouri is a very good example of that, since we have had some prevalent executions. We can win in Missouri, we can win anywhere.
If this bill advances, Missouri would hardly be the first Midwestern state to consider this type of move or even end its death penalty. You just mentioned Nebraska. Anybody else looking at it?
Not that I'm currently aware of. I'm relatively new to the fight in these last few years and have been working increasingly with Missouri conservative concerned about the death penalty throughout 2015. So I'm playing a little catch-up as well here.
Well, what has been your own personal evolution when it comes to the death penalty?
I think I would trace that back to the year 2012. I was actually on a trip to Washington, D.C. for the annual March for Life that commemorates the anniversary of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision. And I was talking to a man there that I greatly respect. His name is Bill Francis, and he's the Respect Life coordinator for the Catholic Diocese of Kansas City, St. Joseph. And we were talking about different life politics and policy issues. And he was saying how the support for the death penalty, it's okay if there's no other way to keep society safe, but the United States has long evolved past that point. And it's not a deterrent to crime. It's not consistent with anything. And then that really prompted my own thinking to do more research, and it's exorbitantly more expensive. In Indiana, death penalty cases are up to 10 times more than life without parole cases. In Kansas, they're up to 4 times as more, and those states really aren't that different from Missouri.
Just a final point, Asher. So what happens next? Outside of what happens in the state Senate today, what's next for your organization?
Next, we'll be continuing to do outreach. If you search for the group Missouri Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty on Google or on social media, you'll find lots of different center-right political coalition leaders who have come out in support of this, and you'll find studies, you'll find evidence, you'll find data, and getting that information out more widely and reaching our fellow conservatives that may still support the death penalty for any number of understandable reasons, talking to them and saying, hey, do you know this about the death penalty? Do you know that there have been DNA exonerations? Do you know that it's actually cheaper to give them 3 hots in a bed for the rest of their life?
That's Asher Allman of the group Missouri Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty. And Asher, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.